this roundtable has come at a very timely period that we are preparing for the major election. We know that 2 of the cycle will happen in a couple of days or weeks, but the general election is coming, and so many things are happening. And it is up to the media to do it and get it right. And I believe my colleagues that are here, they are up to the task. We know, we see that year in, year out, elections coming and going. Media in Nigeria has continued to be very fair and fear nobody in performing their duties. So I want to thank you for bringing us together to share our experiences, and I want to believe that by the time we leave here, we'll be better off than the way we came. Thank you very much.
I may draw from the opening statement of the UNESCO Constitution, which says, since war starts in the minds of men and women, it is in the minds of men and women that the defenses of peace must be constructed. And who are the people that can shape and help in the construction of peace in the minds of people? Is the media. And this is very, very critical to a peaceful elections, especially as the country, moves towards the 2027 general elections. The critical role of the media cannot be discountenanced. So that is why we are all here. And I acknowledge all the colleagues that are here, and also the representative of Dr. Sharon Omotosho, the director of the first and the only UNESCO Category 2 Institute in the world on media and information literacy. Nigeria bidded and won during the time of Lai Mohammed, and it's so pleasing to see that even the successive government, or succeeding government rather, pushed on and were able to get that institute situated in Nigeria. It's domiciled within the premises of National Open University. It's a critical institution in our quest for information integrity, because that is the whole thing. So we crave for the integrity of the information ecosystem, even as we move towards 2027 elections. And when we talk about this, everything about disinformation, misinformation, hate speech, you can look them back to human rights, because somebody is involved. When the hate speech is shared, or a disinformation content is shared, somebody is at the center of this, and the rights must be protected always. So we bring the greetings and also trust that all of us will be active and participatory in the discussion. Thank you.
Colleague Sheyi has already touched upon many of the issues, but from the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, journalists are vital to the work we do. And we see journalists as human rights defenders, first and foremost, as truth tellers. And yes, you have a lot of responsibility when it comes to reporting fairly and accurately, but we also know that journalists continue to face challenges in carrying out this important role, that you're often at the forefront, that in many places you come under attack. And we look at, even the office has recently issued a report on the state of attacks against journalists, especially in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and how many journalists have lost their lives in pushing for the truth. So we don't underestimate the importance of your role, and also the dangers that many of you faces in carrying out your work. For this partnership, when we first met with Journalists for Human Rights, Mustafa here, it went without saying that naturally, if this was going to happen, it has to happen with OACHR. We cannot do our work without you, and vice versa. We rely on you. And as the elections is approaching, I think we're going to continue this conversation. And hopefully we would also like to bring the government into this, because they have a role, government and security forces, in addition to yourself, in making sure that we have a credible elections and a peaceful and inclusive elections.
Are here in Nigeria? We, since November last year, we've been quite interested in the media ecosystem of Nigeria, because we find that it's one of the most dynamic and developed media ecosystem. Nigerian media ecosystem has quite a rich history, which I'm sure we will not get ourselves into, but it's one that continues to inspire other media practitioners across Africa. When we talking about elections, we do believe that as journalists for human rights, we do believe that the media has a critical role to play, but the media working with civil society organizations could do even much more better. And this is why in this room today we have not only media practitioners, we also do have civil society organization representatives in the room. So our CSO allies and colleagues, we are grateful and glad that you've joined us today to explore ways of how we could work together between media and civil society to safeguard Nigeria's democracy ahead of the upcoming general elections. We believe that credible elections are really important, and they are a foundation to legitimate governance. They are and also a foundation to sustainable development. And importantly, credible elections are also a foundation to public trust. I think you start to lose the public the moment they don't trust the election's outcome. And this is why we believe that media and civil society could work together to protect electoral integrity, to collaboratively work against combating misinformation and disinformation, collaboratively work together to tackle issues around violence, and collaboratively working together to make sure that the elections are inclusive and participatory, ensuring that women's voices and voices of marginalized, other marginalized groups are included and their voices are heard throughout the electoral process. Get into the conversations to think much more critically about ways that we could work together between media and civil society to ensure that the elections are credible, are peaceful, transparent, and with integrity as well. And these collaborations could come in different forms, right? It could be by sharing verified, credible information. We know CSOs often have the power and influence of mobilizing on the ground, at the ground level, and they come up with information and data that could help journalists to be able to report accurately on the elections proceedings. And this could also be, in a way of sharing information and creating joint platforms that could be helped to verify information. This is just one way, I think, of many other ways that civil societies and media could work together. But today, we would like to leave it to you to think much more deeply about ways that you could work together in a more effective way to ensure that we all safeguard Nigerian elections. I do believe in Nigeria, and I do believe that if Nigeria gets it right, I always say if Nigeria gets it right, the rest of West Africa will get it. Nigeria stands as a tower of democracy in this region, and Nigerian political elites wield a lot of influence. A lot of influence and leverage among other political elites within the ECOWAS region. So I do believe that if Nigeria gets it right, West Africa will develop. And us here, journalists and civil society, you have a great role to play to make sure that Nigeria get it right.
One has said we cannot underscore the importance of journalists, especially ahead of the next elections, and even more so partnering with CSOs. As although I'm representing the High Commissioner and High Commission generally, I've also worn different hats as having worked in the CSO and also as the media. And right now, I also lead public affairs at the High Commission. And so it's a very this is a very important conversation. This is very important work that we're doing here. And the hope is that after today and just like moving on ahead of the elections, that we actually do work together. And as someone who has a bit of experience in this sector, I know that everyone here belongs to some sort of community or group with other CSOs, other journalists, and that may not have or may not work as efficiently or effectively as we want. And so we hope that all of those challenges are brought to fore in today's conversation, and that as we move forward, we actually do work together. Everyone here knows that journalists are essentially the fourth arm of government, safeguarding citizens, safeguarding democracy, and I think that every election seems more serious than the last, and especially now with the rise in technological advancements, especially AI, we need to be a lot more quicker, we need to be a lot more accurate. We're going to be fighting different kinds of misinformation, disinformation,